Hey there, Jed Coverness here from jedcoverness.com, and this is Talk Therapy. Just the same tool that I use that Cody Skogstead and I use on our podcast called Off the Cuff, and just hit record and start talking, right? Except with him and I, it's more or less like, hey dude, let's hang out, drink some beers, or you don't have to drink beer, but while we hang out, let's just record our conversations. How about that? And that's what we do. And I figure, why not? And that's what I do with this. This is just a hit record situation. I did this long before we started the podcast, but it's more or less just hitting record and to start talking. I encourage everybody to give this a shot. Everybody who's listening, anybody who's listening, because why not? You don't have to share it to the world like I do, but give it a shot. Give it a go and see what happens. I was literally just asking myself, why do I do this? Like, oh man, should I hit record today? And, what's my heart say? And I asked my heart. I asked my inner deep self, whatever you want to call it. And the question was answered with a question. Why do you do it? Why do you hit record? Is it for attention or is it for yourself? Is it for your mind? Is it for your body? Is it for your soul? Or is it for attention from other people? Because my ego, that little voice in my head said, well, why do it? Nobody's listening anyway. And then right there, I'm like, screw it. Yep. I'm hitting record because that little voice in my head is not actually me. I'm defying it right now, and that's also what this tool does, is it gets me past my ego, lifts the veil of that voice. And then you do that enough times, and that voice has to evolve with you. It has to. It's just how it works. You do this, you do change, you do something to defy, to not necessarily like beat it down, because that is going against resistance. That is creating resistance. Like, love it. Like, I'm loving my ego right now, going, thank you for the push to help me. Like, help me help myself. And that was my ego doing that. And that comes from awareness. Where did I notice? How did I notice that was happening? Because I'm like, oh, wow, okay. My head's telling me one thing, my heart's telling me the other. Might as well sit there and go, all right, I'm going to do it. My heart's telling me, follow my heart, do that. Do more of that, right? Like, that is where I'm at with that one. And you got this. Like, literally, I'm telling myself, you got this. All right, hit record and let's go. And that's the fun part. Like, that is just so incredible to me, because before all that awareness, before all this work that I've done on myself, I would just be driving to work. That's it. I would just be driving to work. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just now the level of awareness is massive, and I appreciate it so much. And the other thing that has been really like coming to surface, like really like just getting at me, not necessarily at me in a bad way, but like this lottery stuff, like seeing lottery everywhere. And it hasn't just been because this Mega Millions, but like for me personally, for some reason, I don't know why, and I'm going to love it and I'm going to keep accepting it, is just like not necessarily the drawing, like the Powerballs or whatever, but like a scratch-off ticket. Those are just entertaining, really. Those are pure entertainment. But then also, like, is it an addiction? It is to a lot, because it's a way out or an escape. But for me, it's, and I haven't bought a scratch-off ticket for a very, not years, but, I would say months, I don't know. But it's crazy to think about how much money a person puts into a lottery. And this is me trying to talk myself out of doing what is called, like, is it possible that you can be called to buy a scratch-off ticket? Maybe. As long as you can be aware of why, or not necessarily why, but of what you're doing, or what's calling you to do it. Is it your mind? Is it your ego? Is it your body? Is it your heart? Like, what's calling you to intentionally act that way? Like, live with intention and do everything with action from that intention, which then comes from your heart, which then, in turn doesn't do anything that is not intentional, right? Like, I'm sitting here going, wait, okay, that sounded funny, sounded weird, but really, it doesn't matter. Like, all of these things, like, I'm talking myself out of buying a scratch-off lottery ticket. Like, it's not even lottery, scratch-off ticket, because in my head, in my ego, says, well, you're not going to win anyway, right? So then not going against ego, not going against it at all, because going against it, going, oh, I'll prove you wrong, you're adding resistance. But if you accept, I think that's really what I'm getting out of that. If you accept the challenge of the ego and say, cool, all right, thank you. Like, thank you for pushing me to do different. Because I'm aware that you're afraid of change. You're afraid of changing. You're afraid of what could happen. And if it's right or wrong or otherwise, okay. But intentionally listen to both. That's the duality of good and bad and otherwise. Not that ego is bad. It's actually a good thing. It wants it wants to succeed. It wants to be all. It just can't, because the soul is all. And that's it. If you keep working on you, which, man, that's a moment-to-moment type work. Every single moment, living with intention, living with action, living with what is, and that's it. But this scratch-off ticket has just been digging, right? Digging and eating at me and going, okay, go buy it, go buy it, go buy it. And in my head, I'm like, no. Like, in my ego is sitting here going, no, don't. You're not going to win anyway. And if I literally just love the motion, love the emotions that come up, I'm like, awesome. Ego does not want me to buy the scratch-off ticket, because there's the possibility that I could win, right? Not even win, but just acquire, if you will. That money would come into my existence, through me, right? And then you take that and do something with it, which changes the current state of being, the current state of what's right now, right? Because you take on all of these personality traits, and as soon as they go away, the ego is like, well, I don't know who I am anymore, and it doesn't like that. Like identity. Ego needs identity. And let's just say, a person would scratch off $100,000. So then you'd probably take home, 75 of it? Maybe 70 of it? Well, that would pay off one student loan, so that we wouldn't have to have $500 go out per month, right? Like, then it's not like we gain $500, right? It's that money does not go towards that now. So that's a big deal. And then to ego, to the identity, that whoa, no, we can't have that go away, because that is a part of us. We get to complain about that. Like, we love to complain about that student loan. Like, That is part of our identity, and you cannot take that away. So don't go buy that scratch off ticket. Do not do that, because that would take away from the identity. So there's that piece of it, right? And that goes with exercise and nutrition and just change in general. All of these changes go completely against your identity, which is your ego, which is the voice in your head that says, no, don't do this and this and this and this, because this could change everything. And then those actions don't happen, and then you get frustrated and mad and sad and depressed and anxious and all of those things that happen because you don't change, and then you end up right back where you were. So it's such a story that we all follow. Every single one of us, on every single moment of every single day, because we think and think and think and think and overthink and overthink and overthink, and then it's exhausting. And then by the time you're done with all of that, it's time to go to bed. It's literally time to go to bed. Because that's what you've done in your day. You have no idea what you've just done in your day. Woke up, did all of that bullshit, and then went to bed. Instead of living with intention and really paying attention to your thoughts and actions and emotions, and start in your head, in your heart, and listening to both ways and accepting what is. Accepting what is, and get down to the bare bones of it all and find some ways that work slowly to trick, to help, to love the ego, to say, you know what, I'm going to try this little thing today. This little thing I'm going to try. Because then the ego's like, well, 1 minute's not going to do anything for you, but sure, what's 1 minute? And then your 1 minute changes to 2, and then changes to 4, and then changes to 8, and then changes to 16. Like, it doesn't matter, because by the time you get to 5 minutes, or even 10 minutes, or even your 15 or 16 minutes, the ego starts to identify with it and goes, yeah, okay, so this is what we do every day. And without it, that feels weird. That feels weird. No, you're like, oh no, I can't not work out today for a minute, because that's just who I am now, right? See what you did there? You tricked them. You tricked him or her, it. You tricked it into identifying with it. And there was no resistance, because he started small. There was resistance to the starting, because what's the point, right? What's 1 minute out of your day going to do for you? Well, it doesn't matter. You're tricking. The long game is you're tricking it. You're tricking everything in your life. Everybody. Yeah, initial resistance sucks. But just starting is literally the battle. And then after that, you keep going and make tweaks and turn the screws a little bit. Whatever you want to understand. And I'm literally telling myself this, and that's, hell yeah, this is a lot of fun. So there it is. Ego, mind, change, whatever you want to call it. Love it, accept it. Small changes to trick it. Hell yes. Hit that like, comment, subscribe, whatever button that's there, hit it. Do some action, do something different today. I challenge you to do that. You got this. And as always, if you're willing to change from the neck up, you will change from the neck down. I believe in you. Now it's your turn to start believing in yourself. Stay safe out there. Be blessed. Bye for now.